Deuces, man.
Man, that looked good. That last one right there, Chings with the beer. It's like, oh, okay. It's Miller time.
Yes, sir. You bring us in this time, man.
What up? What up? What up? What's happening, everyone? Fantabulous Friday. It's your two favorite cuzzos. Melly in the building, Dub in the building, Marco. You know how we do. How you feeling today, cuzzo?
I feel good, man. I feel good. It is another fantastic Friday for sure. Uh, man, it seemed like this one came by real quick. Did we have a holiday this Monday, or I mean, last Monday? No, huh?
No, it was Lincoln's birthday on Monday, but I still work. I didn't get the
Yeah, I had
day
to
off.
work too, so
So yeah, it was five straight, you know. So
yeah, it went by pretty fast. I have to say.
okay. Well, I'm glad it went past
For
for
me,
you.
for me, it did. You know, I
Not
have to
for
say.
me. Not for me.
Was a slow one, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it was like, man, I'm thinking it's Wednesday and it's Tuesday, one of those.
Yeah.
But it's all good. We got one Monday. It's President's Day, Shout
That
out to the shout out to the Trump supporters, you know.
Oh no! He said, "Shout out to the Trump supporters." Okay, that's what's up.
You, you know how people get, man, when they hear that man's name. So I like to razzle and dazzle a little
I'm
bit.
offended, man.
You offended? Well, be
Yeah,
offended. That's personal. That's personal. That's all good though. I still love you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Freedom House. What have you heard about Freedom House, Cuzzo?
Man, I heard that, this was a historic, you know, place, in terms of how we did things back in the day, which was the first, you know, black, you know, paramedic, you know. And I've heard about it before. I did a little bit of research, but it was just kind of like when you just kind of look back into history, it's like, wow, some of the things that, we're not told about. Everything that you see today comes from a place. So you're not really given that history, given some history to where it's Martin Luther King, is Rosa Parks. It's really fighting to incorporate yourself in someone else's vision or system per se. But when you look at stuff like this, it's like, man, we did this before. So it's like, why haven't we heard about this? You know what I'm saying? So it really just gives credence to how powerful we can be, once we know where we come from and it's not slavery.
100%. Yeah, I think that you know, and I don't want to say I think that I know that we are in an age where we have so much information, and I think that we, you know, can get information, you know, from where we decide to get information or what we decide to get information on. And so, I mean, how do we look up or want to learn more about our history? Is that something that we want to do? Because, like you said, there's so many different things that we may not have heard of, and there is a point where okay, we could blame people and hold people accountable, for not giving us that information. But then it comes to a point like we need to get that information for ourselves. And so just like we talk about, me and you have conversations more often now than before about a lot of different things, investments and things that are going on in the world today. And that's information that we sometimes it pops up in front of us, this age of social media, but then sometimes we have to dig a little bit to find out more information, get more uh, guidance, and more depth on that particular subject. And this is, kind of one of those things like the first ambulance, these men were trained, by doctors, back in the day. and so they were like first responders, CPR, and things like that to help maintain people until they got them to the hospital where the doctor could treat them. And so, just a brief, description of this, I did, and that actually this says in celebration of Black History Month, and that's what I wanted to do is just shed light to something. Those gentlemen were in Pittsburgh. Uh, they and it says Civil Rights Organization, Freedom House. I mean, I won't go too deep into that, but it's something that we could be proud of, as people who are of color, to know that we are inventors, we are first in a lot of things, we are creators, and you know, we did build this country, literally. Actually, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but there's a lot of things that we have done that, that's not promoted, but if you look into your history, who created this, who created that, who was the first to do that, who was the Black inventors, like it's there, you know what I mean? So shout out to Freedom House. We honor you, we celebrate you, and yeah, on to the next one.
No doubt. Shout out.
I don't want to dismiss y'all like that.
No, it's all good.
But so I had another we make this, I guess this is an icebreaker. I guess we kind of had an icebreaker, but I'll make this icebreaker. So Ciara and Russell Wilson was on this show, Hot One Versus, and so it's where they eat like really hot wings, and they ask questions, and based on your answer, you have to eat a wing, and it was a question that popped up. You know what I mean? And I thought was interesting, so that's why I wanted to play it. Let's see what that question.
Ooh. Which ring is more important to you? Dang. Your Super Bowl ring or your wedding ring?
Y'all fucked up for that.
Cuzzo, I'm gonna turn to you, man. Hey, in that situation, you got, what's your opinion? What do you think? You think Russell did the right thing, by shedding
I
up?
mean, of course he did well. I think so, because it's like you don't want to be put in a position to where something that you've done for most of your life, you reach the pinnacle and you're able to achieve a high level uh, that most seek to do throughout their lives, but they're not able to hoist that trophy.
Right.
And as well as marriage, men look for the right woman, as they come along in their life and eventually want to have a household, of their own to where they can settle down and raise a family with. So asking that question is like a double-edged sword. It's like both things require men to put out a lot of energy in order to reach that pinnacle or be able to, chase that woman, court that woman, whatever you want to call it, and be able to, ask for a hand of marriage after courting for so long and get a yes. So I think he was smart. He was like, "Hey, let me eat this wing, man. Let me think a little bit longer. I don't know if I'm thinking straight because it's so spicy. So let me just see, Yeah, but all in all, I think it's fun, how they were able to do that. But I'm pretty sure they did that for the cameras. But they know that she's most important, and that Super Bowl ring is very important to him. So a woman that really loves their husband, they wouldn't put them in that position and ask that question. And if he answers the Super Bowl, they wouldn't get offended, because it's like, yeah, I worked all my life since Pee Wee football for a lot of cats, or I worked all my life since high school. You wasn't with me in the gym shooting, how they be saying. So it's just kind of like, yeah, that's the way I look at it. But all in all, man, they're both great accomplishments.
Okay, shout out to you, man.
But I would choose a Super Bowl ring. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, okay. Dang, I was just gonna
I'm
say,
gonna take the Super Bowl ring.
yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So, firstly, I want to know who put that question in there? Who set these questions up? It was a good question, but it was a setup question because I mean,
Of course.
I know sometimes, you have, women who, could understand, putting your life into a craft, into a sport, into a, you know, putting your all into something, and getting to the pinnacle, which so many other people cannot get to or won't get to. I'll just say, okay, Super Bowl, okay, I'll go to my sport, basketball. And so there's, a lot of my favorite players. Actually, I'm not gonna say a lot. There's one of my favorite players who's probably one of the greatest, power forwards in the NBA history, and does not have a championship ring. And that's what he gets a lot of flack from on NBA TNT. Well, I guess it's not on TNT anymore, but he gets a lot of flack from them. Kenny Smith has a ring, Shaq has a ring, and guess who doesn't have a ring? Charles Barkley does not have a ring, and so guess what? He could be as great as he want to be, but that's one thing that he's missing that keeps him out of those rooms and out of those conversations. And so I don't know. That's a great question. Whoever, like I said, whoever put that question out there. And I think that he did answer it well. Yeah, I think he answered. Actually, he didn't answer, so I think he did the right thing, right? Because back to my point, I think there's some women out there that don't understand that. There's some that do. Ciara's an artist. I'm sure she put her life into her craft, into her dancing, into her singing. So she understands like getting to a certain level and being successful. But then there's some people out there that may not be as, uh accepting of an answer as I take the Super Bowl ring. And guess what? I'm taking the Bowl ring all day because you can't explain how difficult it is to get there, to put your body through the wear and tear, mentally studying, all these different types of things that you have to do to get to that point. And then guess what? It's not even guaranteed that you're going to win. And I'm, mind you, it feels good being with somebody who's your person, and you somebody that you could spend the rest of your life with. But nowadays, man, I'm just keep it 100, man. And nowadays, that's not even guaranteed. And that's a lot less guaranteed. People are getting divorced and breaking up for the craziest reasons. I mean, some of them legit, but then some of them are crazy. He was a good man, but I just didn't want to, deal with a good man no more. I just wanted some chaos in my life. They're not saying that, but they saying that. So man, shout out to Russell, shout out to Ciara. I think that was good. Here's something else that I saw come up because I threw in there.
Okay.
Like, what is all of this stuff this dude's throwing in there? So,
no, that's good. Let's mix it up.
But we talk kind of about this stuff too. So
it was once a degree to some of the highest paying jobs in the world, but now the University of California is seeing a drop in enrollment for computer science. I was going to bring in our business and tech reporter, Scott Budman. Scott, I saw that this hasn't happened since the .com bust. So is this a bad sign for tech?
It really could be, but things are a little bit different than they were back in 99 and 2000. And Audrey, as you can imagine, when all those stocks fell and the companies went out of business, it was really tough for a young person to say, what I want to do right now is get a job in tech and get a job in computer science. Since then, though, as tech has gone up, a lot of the people have said, hey, CS is a great way to get in there. I'm going to learn to code. I'm going to get an entry-level job. And it's only in the last couple of years we've seen those jobs decline. Why? Well, of course, artificial intelligence. A lot of students coming out of school with that coveted computer science degree only to find out that either the internship or the entry-level job is being done by a bot. And that is discouraging a lot of people. And so for the first time in quite some time, all but one UC campus, we'll get to that in a minute, has seen a decline in computer science degrees and majors. Students are just wary of, and parents, frankly, spending all that time and money and effort to come out and find out that your job, at least your entry-level job, is being done by a machine.
You've been talking to a lot of people about this.
Yeah. So this is conversations that we've been having.
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation that I actually was in a cohort maybe back in 2020, you know, working on becoming a web designer. And we talked about AI, and it was like, yeah, well, AI can't take over everything. You're still going to need, you know, humans to do this and humans to do that. And if you kind of think at it and look at it and see, you know, the technical side of it, it's like, not necessarily, because everything is just ones and zeros. You're doing things step by step. You're looking for this, you're looking for that. Lines of code, you know, those things can be automatically done as we see today. So unfortunately, you know, I guess we can call that the tech boom. You know, when you're able to come out of college or come out of a cohort and you're able to start off at 60, 70, 80, maybe 90,000 a year. And now that's being threatened because you can do so many of the remedial tasks that you're starting out with in a technology company with AI. Yes, there's some things that you'll have to do with humans to kind of control it, but you're seeing today, like people starting AI agencies with a solopreneur, just one person. And basically you're using vibe coding, you're using large language models. I mean, you're using, you know, different types of apps to help build, you know, what you're seeking to build, which normally took a team of 8 to 10 people. You know, you're doing this with maybe 4 people, you know, based on what you're looking to actually build as a collective. So I'm definitely, you know, immersed in some of that stuff, some of the schools, and everybody's talking about, you know, the popular topic, the startup. You know, now we're looking at helping small businesses, medium-sized businesses to implement AI with their business so they don't have to do some of the tasks that they have to do, you know, and that's something that's picking up traction really, really fast. And this is kind of like the next boom, you know. We had the industrial boom, and you had the .com, you know, bubble, you know. Now we have this technology boom that's going to go much faster, 5 years versus 20, you know, to make millionaires. So if you're in the right place at the right time, if you're putting things together to where you're able to provide services that people are looking for, then yes, you know, you'll be able to not have to go to college and spend all that time and money, you know, as a waste to get you where you initially want to be anyway. And that's earning income and taking care of yourself as a responsible citizen and not looking for handouts, you know, to help take care of you. So that's initially what, you know, that makes me think about when I heard what they were saying. And, you know, we'll see what happens as we move forward. Because like I said, technology is only getting faster and faster. So you have to understand what's going on, understand what's happening in order to keep up with it. Because everything now moving forward is about automation, quantum computing. The list can go on and on and on. So, yeah.
Yep. So I kind of like firsthand understand like some of that that's going on with tech and programmers and things like that. I mean, I do think you have to be, and I think they kind of said it in there, that you have to do your research. And I mean, because there's still going to be tech jobs out there available, but then you have to look at the ones that can be done by, you know, by humans are those that, bots can do, because programming now is done. It's over. I mean, I don't want to say it's completely over with, but a lot of that basic programming stuff is pretty much done. Like all you have to do is say, Gemini, can you write me a code on, how to do this or that? And boom, it'll spit it out for you. Gemini, I wrote this code for this, for this. Can you take a look at it and see, or Chat GPT or whatever, you use. And so, like those type of jobs are, few and far in between. And so those people that do those things are interested in coding are going to have to rethink, what they plan to do, moving forward, because that's not going to be one of those jobs that's accessible. I've heard of a lot of, students in that field are having a hard time finding a job. And I think there's a lot of positions out there that are available, like I said, but you just have to do your research and look at what is needed. Prompting is one, and we talk about that, like creating prompts, for this. Data scientist is another one, because you're going to always need, data. Data is going to be something that's going to be around forever. There's some other ones out there that are going to, that may be a long time before they be replaced. But you have to be picky, and you have to make a decision. And so these are conversations, that we get to have with our children when we find out, okay, like later down the line, when you get in school, if you're not already in school, like what is it that you want to do, and then we can say, okay, that sounds like a good job, and help them do the research, or we all do the research and determine, like, okay, this looks like it's going in this direction. This looks like this is going in that direction, and pivot from there if we need to. And so, but it's something that we just need to be aware of, 100%. And this report is not coming out for any, for a reason that we don't need to worry about it. It's coming out because we're being made aware of what's going on, in universities across the country. And so just keep that in mind. And, we bring it to you because we want you to know, what's going on, so you can prepare yourself and prepare your children, as they move to the next level. So anyway, are you frozen, cousin? Oh, there you go. You just froze for a little bit, man. You just getting your max headroom on, man. I think you muted too, but it's all good.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, let me see. This is another thing. We're gonna hop around. Boomer Esiason has something to say about the jock tax, if y'all haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Let's see what he got to say.
Yeah.
The winning team, each player gets $178,000. In other words, the Super Bowl isn't a part of their salary. And because the game was played in California, and California has a jock tax, and they look at duty days. So each team spends 7 days in the state of California. So those are 7 duty days, and they pierce your regular salary at 3.5%. So he has to pay, when you take into account he got the $178,000 plus his overall salary, he has to pay the state of California for spending 7 days there $249,000.
That's just so stupid. I mean,
Yeah, but
really is.
it ends up costing him $71,000 to go play in California. Now, if I'm the NFLPA, now you got to remember, it's probably even more than that, because since he's in Seattle, he's playing against San Francisco 49ers. That's another day he's there. And he's playing against the LA Rams. That's another day he's there. So he's probably had like 9 or 10 duty days, maybe even more than that, in the state of California. So if I'm the NFLPA, I'm like, hey, we're not playing any more Super Bowls in California. We're just not doing it. for winning the Super Bowl.
So there we go.
Man, that's crazy work. It definitely got kicked in the jock right there. That's what I'm thinking about.
Man, punted.
Punted
Right.
in the jock. Right.
Right. So I know a lot of y'all out there probably saying like, he's rich, he could pay for this, and shout out to y'all. Actually, I want to say this. Shout out to everyone who, watched and commented and liked the other video that we talked about the California tax to drive. We had a lot of people commenting about that. Man, shout out to y'all. We had some good conversations in those comments. And this is just an addition. Our state, California, is taxing jocks or athletes to pay. And guess what? It's not just athletes. It's not just athletes. Staff, etc. There's other positions that this tax also affects, but it's not just athletes. And so you might say like, oh, they're rich, they could pay it. But the problem with this is that when the Super Bowl comes here, when the NBA All-Star game, well, let me just not just say here, when the Super Bowl goes to a state or city, any athletic event is in a city, what it does is people fly in, they stay at hotels, people patronize restaurants in the area, people rent cars, people do all these things. It helps the economy. And so for a state like California or any other state that charges tax, it's a additional price that's paid to these players. And Boomer kind of alluded to like the NFL Players Association. If I was them, I would say let's not play another Super Bowl in that state. And so what that does is that extra funds or extra money that's recycled in the economy, in our state, in our city, then that goes away. If you look at other states that are or other forgive me, I lost my train of thought. But for those other like teams that are moving out of their city, that's a lot of jobs and things like that lost. And it may not necessarily be for tax purposes, but it's an issue because people lose jobs at hotels, businesses in the area suffer, all these different things happen. And I think Chicago is one of the most recent ones who are moving out. But it's ridiculous to charge the players I think it's like 13.5% tax on top of what they already have to pay. So every state that they go to is different, but California is like the most egregious. California is the one with the highest tax. Like I think it's either California or New York. And from what I heard, and actually I was supposed to look this up. Where did that jock tax come from? I thought I heard it happened in the 90s. What California? Let me see. Yeah, somebody said. Let me see. How did it start? Oh no, let me see. Okay, history. While job taxes date to the 1960s, states started aggressively taxing the income of non-resident athletes in 91. Yeah, so I was right. When California imposed a tax on the earnings of the Chicago Bulls players who traveled to Los Angeles to play the Lakers in the NBA Finals. And so when that happened, it was basically, we're going to get back at you because you charged us when we was out here. And then it became a thing. So then everybody started doing it. I don't think it makes sense, because they're already bringing bringing about money into that economy. So why are you charging a tax, on these players for like a few days and being here?
Because they want some of that money. That's why.
I know.
Just like anything else, just like, with the whole thing with the weed places opening up, they didn't allow it to happen until they was figuring out how they were going to be able to tax it.
I can monetize, yeah.
Yeah. So you're not going to come here and, take money from our citizens or get money out of our jurisdictions without us getting a cut. That's just like the thugs in the street say, hey, you come to LA or you come to this city, you got to check in.
Right.
Or you got to pay a tax to move around in this city. The same thing.
Well, I think it wasn't a thing until it was made a thing, and that's something that we talked about last week. Also, is that California is like a test bed. New York is like a test bed. When they start doing it in one of those places, a lot of times it spreads. And so this was one of those things that because they wanted their piece of the pie, other states started to adopt it. So, but go ahead, cuz
Yeah, I think it's whack, unfortunately, and it's not just, them, it's entertainers, like, people who tour, professionals, you got traveling nurses, so when they travel to certain states, you get taxed based on the state that you work in, so that's why a lot of times people won't come do business here is because, it's too expensive, it's not worth my time to come there and put all the hours and the energy, and then you suck, maybe a half or a third of that away, so yeah, they definitely need to look into that and do something about that, because once you start to cut off certain states in terms of, we're not going to do business with you guys because you guys have a jock tax. That's why. And they can consider that, oh, well, that's discrimination, Well, no, that's just my preference because I don't want to pay the tax that you're offering. It's not discrimination. I just don't want to pay the tax that you're asking my players to pay, or you're asking these teams to play. I'm looking out for their well-being and their families. They have to pay tax anyway, based on the state that they live in. So why should they have to pay you a tax because they came here to play a game that they didn't ask to play in terms of the state? These things are set up for them to play in. So players should have a say-so in, those types of things. I'm pretty sure they talk about that at the meetings, hopefully how they get that ironed out. Because also players, they're starting to travel out of state and out of the country to play in other countries too. So I'm thinking like, okay, what's that looking like? In terms of the breakdown.
I don't have to pay a tax like that though, because I think it's just a U.S. thing. We could figure it out though.
Yeah, you're probably right, but the exchange rate and all that stuff too. If I'm playing here, if I'm earning money while I'm here in this currency, then how does that translate back to U.S. currency? Because sometimes it's more or less. If I go here, the money is not as worth as much as it is in another space or another place, if that makes sense. So if I exchange it back to, my currency, then, I'm not going to get as much as I thought I was getting, or it could be vice versa. It's just a thought I had. I could be wrong, which I like to be most of the time because that's how I learn. So, but anyway, yeah, man, yeah, shout out to those guys, and them being able to do something, that Russell Wilson was able to do once. So hopefully, moving forward, they'll start to shed more of a light on this because they've had problems with salary issues for a long time. Jock tax is just one of the things that they're bringing to light just recently, but it's just kind of like you're not being paid your full salary or your full contract if you get hurt. Everybody's saying you should have more of like a baseball, type salary to where if I play or I don't play, I'm still getting my salary, so that's another topic or another story. But I don't know if it's California and someplace else. Is it just California? I heard you say Chicago.
What, they have the jock tax?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's every state.
It's every state now. Okay.
Other than like, I don't think it's like the states that have state income tax. I don't think that they have to pay that, but Like for California, state income tax is like 13.5% or something like that. Let me see. Let's see. So yeah, so it's like the Floridas, the Washingtons, Tennessee, Texas,
yeah,
Nevada.
hmm
They don't have to pay a job tax in, but the other states they do. And I mean, in some states, I mean, even though you still have to pay one that's lower, it's like maybe like 5% or something like that. But California 13.5%. It's crazy.
And the Super Bowl is at SoFi next year, so get ready
Yeah.
for that again.
Another jock it up.
Jock it up.
You know, young, yeah.
Right.
Ain't gonna be paying. Hey, that's crazy, man. That's crooked.
Man, that's crazy. I was thinking about, oh yeah, I won the Super Bowl. You what? I lost. Yeah, you lost. Lost
Yeah.
some money.
Or you gotta you gotta pay 50,000. Why? Why I gotta pay 50,000? Oh, because the job tax they charge you 180,000,
Right.
and you only made 165. I mean 150 or 130.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you owe 50,000.
By the time you pay your taxes, pay everybody out, you looking at it like, man.
Man, hey man.
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh man, hey, where is it at?
Right. If we going to
wild.
party after this, man, I'm going home. I can't afford the party. I didn't have to pay all this money out. It's crazy.
And that's another thing too, is like people will look at their money, like I think Odell Beckham was on a podcast talking about like what he made and how he's short. I mean, yeah, you should manage your money, but coming from not being educated on money, and you come into money like you don't know what to do. I want this, I want that. I didn't have this, I want to have that. But then when you think about all the things, like this is an additional thing, this job tax. When you think about all the things considered, your agent. You got to pay taxes in all these states that you played in. You gotta, then this person want money, that person want money. Like when you look at it, then hey, you making $80,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Like you barely got enough to make it. You got cars, you got all this jewelry. Like, hey, that money go fast. That money goes fast. So anyway, let me see. On to the next topic. Okay, we covered Russell Wilson and Ciara. We covered UC's. Speaking of taxes, let's talk about this. Why is my camera looking like that? Looking dusty.
This is a huge story with a huge price tag. The Wall Street Journal reporting Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has bought a $150 million home in Florida. The palatial estate is in the super exclusive Indian Creek area. It kind of makes Zuck a semi-neighbor with fellow zillionaire Jeff Bezos, along with Carl Icahn, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Tom Brady, and more. Now, it's not clear if Zuckerberg is leaving California or just buying a Florida crash pad. Why not? But I did post on X about it last night and noted that companies, let's be honest, folks, you know this. Companies have a tendency to find executives hanging out near where their CEO is. And if Meta maybe could move some people to the area, they already have a growing office in Miami. Now, one of those who saw the post and responded was hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman, who responded to my tweet and said, quote, California's toast, self-immolation, end quote. Ackman is referring to the state's high tax rate for top earners. This issue obviously getting a lot of attention. Does it actually mean anything other than a rich guy buying another home? Let's talk about it with CNBC's wealth editor, Robert Frank. Robert Frank, the hard-hitting question is, does this mean anything other than another rich guy buying another home?
Well, it does mean something, Brian. It's an important story, but maybe not for the reasons that Bill Ackman is talking about. There are a lot of billionaires in California with their hair on fire right now, calling this the end of California because of this tax, which let's break down the facts. So this is a tax that would be a one-time tax of 5% on the total wealth of any billionaire in California. Now, this has not gotten on the ballot yet. So number one, you have to get the signatures to get on the ballot. Number two, it has to get a majority of the voters in November to pass on that ballot. And three, and this is the most important thing, if this passes on the ballot, it will likely not pass the courts. And by that, I mean both the state Supreme Court and the federal court, because this would be the first ever wealth tax. But having said all that, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin moved to Florida from California. Sergey Brin has bought a house. As you say, Mark Zuckerberg bought a house. Unclear if he's officially moved his residence or not. But if those folks eventually move, whether it's permanent or it's temporary, pending this outcome, this is a big loss for California because as we've seen.
I'll stop it right there. So the tax to rich, this 5% tax one time. Firstly, I just want to address that. I think that's a damn lie. Because guess what? They're not going to want to tax you one time. They're going to want to come back again and again and again, as much as they could come back and grab some money. My question is we need to find out where all this other money went. They were supposed to go to these programs. Where did all this other money go that you say, we're one of the, greatest economies in the United States of America, us being California. Where's that money going to? That's what we need to look for. And so the problem is you got these tech companies like your Mark Zuckerbergs, with Meta, / Facebook, and you got your, other billionaires that are deciding to jump ship and shift where there's not, where people are not highly taxed. That's a problem, because what happens is if they leave, again, we're talking about jobs leave, not just jobs, the economy, where people in those places that live in those places where they had those jobs at, they were buying cars, they was buying groceries, they were buying, all kind of things, the kids are going to school, et cetera, et cetera. And so with those things going away, it's going to be a dip in the economy, to say. Now, I know, again, it could be easy to say it's tax the rich because they have this money. Why are we doing it? They said we're doing it to basically help with a shortfall in the healthcare. Like, who is this money going to? Like, y'all never transparent. Y'all just say we want to tax you, but where is this money going to? That's what we need to know. Whose healthcare are we paying for? And I don't understand is why we don't wake up as a people and understand that, like, these people are trying to dupe us. The people that were put in office are trying to get over on us because they're not trying to be transparent. They're not trying to be open and honest to you and tell you where this money is going to. They just say, we need your money. Give it to us. If these billionaires leave, guess who's gonna be stuck with the bill? You know how you go out with them large parties and stuff like that to go eat, and then they turn crazy, like, oh, you end up paying, are we gonna split the bill? No, the hell we not. I'm gonna pay what I owe. And that's what the billionaire is saying. Hey, guess what? I'm gonna pay what I owe. My whatever percentage, I'm gonna pay that. And that's what they should only be obligated to pay. Everybody should be able to pay their percentage, and then that's it. But I think it's totally unfair, to target, people who've, worked hard to get to where they've gotten to. So it's like they're being penalized for that, even though they're giving exceptionally more than the average person is giving. I don't understand how we could agree with that type of thing. Why that seems right in your mind. And I'll just say this, you know, these bad policies and these bad, ideas that are put into place, it's our fault. It's our fault. We have a misunderstanding of how the officials that are elected are supposed to operate. Like, they're not supposed to operate in a way where they're telling us what to do. We elect them and put them in place because they're supposed to advocate for us. I can't say that enough. This is a conversation me and you had, Cuzzo, the other day, yesterday, I think. The public officials, they're supposed to, this is not a democracy. There's certain guidelines to run this country, and they were written out by our forefathers. There's certain guidelines and policies that you're supposed to run this state is written out before us. And if you are deferring and doing what you want to do, you shouldn't be in office. They are the face. That's it. Guess what? If you took all the money and not contributed your money to the state, and on the federal level, guess who wouldn't eat? If we just stopped paying our tax dollars, guess who wouldn't eat? I mean, we might go to jail, but guess who wouldn't eat? The politicians are paid by us. We pay their salary. Like, how does that work? Like, if you got a job and your job pays your salary, but you telling your job what you gonna do and what you ain't gonna do, to a certain extent. I mean, of course, there's certain things, but if it's your job description, why aren't you following your job description? I don't understand. And so we got into a place where we allow people to, get in the office and not follow their job description. They're telling the people who pays them what to do. It don't make sense to me. But I'm done. I'll let you share, Cuzzo.
No, he was cooking. He was cooking. I mean, at the end of the day, we understand, as you said before, because we've talked about it, and that's something that we consistently have conversations about because we understand it. What it looks like and what it sounds like when the writing is on the wall. So as it continues to transpire, is nothing we can do, to stop it. Only thing we can do is continue to educate ourselves and have these conversations so people are aware of the situations that's going on in your state, especially if you're in California, especially if you're in a state like New York. When things are levied on the people that help bring business to the state, yeah, if I leave, the next thing that's coming is probably the business next. So it's like they know that, they are aware of that, but they still and yet, are doing this because of a reason and a strategy, So they want these states to be welfare states, I think. They want these states to be distraught, decrepit, and they want people to be dependent on the government. So if I take away more of your ability to keep your money, you will have to rely more on the government to put things in place, so you're able to live as you want to live, And at the end of the day, if people understand, the Constitution, what your rights are that are protected by the Constitution, if you keep having these conversations, then people will start to look at those things more and more and more. And I see it across different platforms, normal people are starting to wake up. But we understand that people that are in business, and they're millionaires and billionaires. They're playing a different game. So they're not going to have that Constitution type of conversation. They're going to just move away and move their money away and put it somewhere else that, they can be more capable, having it, because you're not trying to tax me, just because I've accumulated this much. And of course, they move money to different countries, the Caymans, and whatnot. So that's another story. But, I just think California is playing a game to where, if you remember the movie, what is it? Dang, I'm drawing a blank. But basically, they had districts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and like these cities and places, have to have games every year, in order for you to, in your district, to have the ability to keep functioning as you are now. You have to pay tribute, So I think they're trying to treat these billionaires just like that. You're going to have to pay tribute if you want to stay in this district or this jurisdiction, in order for you to stay here and do business, and that's the wrong way to do it, because then, you'll have people that pull away from the system. You'll have people that starts to set up different ways that, I can say the normal class or the working class can rise above it, because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be the only one with all this money being attacked. Let me make up some things or do some things for the working class to see how they can raise their level of play. And because we can do better together. I always tell people that it's about going farther together versus just you by yourself and only getting to a certain position. So these billionaires has made it to that space and place for a reason. I don't think it's come solely from them and hard work. I think they were given money to put themselves there. That's just my opinion. But just looking at the things that they have to go through now, these things are going to be continuing to trickle down, per se. Because anytime you see something happen at the top, then they'll figure out how to bring it down to the working class, because they're trying to wipe out the middle class as well now. So that's another thing. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it though, because this is just the latest one. I mean, we've seen, many others, lead before them. So if they keep this up, there'll be, thriving cities in other places. And then, these big cities that's had history of thriving and everybody wants to go to, there'll be a thing of the past, because, that was something that they implemented, for whatever reason. And they think it's going to go in their favor. It may be in the interim, but the long run, it's going to go totally different. So we'll see.
Yep, we shall see. We'll see what happens. Man, I thought it was going to take us longer than this. We moving kind of fast. But we covered part of the topic.
We rolling.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, I need that a certain threshold. Man, I've been keeping track. I needed 9 minutes or more. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see. So this is I think this is the last one that we have. Did you hear about the SAVED Act? So we're going to talk about it. So basically, it's the Voter Act. Like you got to show ID to vote, show citizenship, brother. Let me run it.
Good evening, everybody. This is a very important night on the House floor. House Republicans tonight stood with the overwhelming majority of Americans who demand secure elections. Standing with me are some of the champions of this cause in the House and some of the leaders outside our chamber who've been working on this issue to ensure this integrity for quite some time. And this is a big achievement tonight. By voting for the Save America Act, House Republicans did exactly what the American people sent us here to do. It's promises made, promises kept. Ensuring the integrity of elections is an essential issue. It's essential to maintaining our constitutional republic, and everybody in this country seems to understand and agree to that. This is about a 90-10 issue in the polling, because all that we've done tonight in this simple piece of legislation is apply common sense. All the Save America Act does is it enhances the SAVE Act, which you've already passed twice before, which says that you have to have proof of citizenship before you register to vote in federal elections. The law already provides for that, but we need to ensure that it's enforced. And the second part of it, what we added tonight and what is part of the Save America Act is the second piece, the very common sense requirement that you have a photo ID if you're going to vote. So that's it. That's what the bill does. Proof of citizenship and photo ID to vote. Everyone in the country understands the necessity of that, understands how simple it is and how important it is. And the only people that oppose it are people who want to cheat our system, who want to participate in our elections illegally, unlawfully. And that's not fair to the American people and the citizens of this country. And so we had only one House Democrat participate with us tonight. This has become a bitter partisan fight, and it's madness to us. We can't quite understand what the rationale is for opposing a free and fair election.
I'll stop it right there. So to save that, long story short, you need to verify that you are a citizen to be able to vote in a national. And they said they didn't even say a local election like state, city, because I'm assuming that has to be something that's passed by your state. But for a national election, you have to basically verify that it has to be verified that you are a citizen of the United States. And so my question is to you, Cuzzo, why would somebody oppose having to show ID, for voting?
That's a good question. I don't know why somebody would oppose, because you have to show ID to do anything that's important, that's pertaining to you specifically as an individual, everywhere you do business, unless this is an anonymous vote and you don't want to know who's voting, then yeah, I can see, why something like that will be implemented, or something that like that should need to be implemented. But, when you've had the last two elections that we've all heard, not even the last two elections, this has gone back maybe 4, 5, 6, 8 elections, to where they're talking about voter fraud and, the boxes got cooked. We got dead people voting, we got people that are not citizens, you can just walk up and say, yeah, I want to vote, and it's just the absentee ballots and, the people that are not there, and I can mail in my ballots. Is just kind of like, who's voting? These can be people that's in prison. This can be people that's abroad. This can be people that's, under the city, we don't know. So it's just kind of like, how do you verify that the people, which are the so-called citizens, we the people that are looking to elect the right individual, how do we know that their vote is actually being counted? Or how do we know that all those votes are actually being counted correctly? How do we know that votes are not being added, based on, whatever tactics may be used, whether it's taking out votes, putting in votes in the other box, that's fine, but we still need to verify, those votes go to a specific individual that lives here in the country, that has citizenship, doesn't have dual citizenship. And if they have dual citizenship, well, then okay, where's the citizenship going? A lot of people would call that racist, but I don't see how that's racist. If I want to know who's voting, then why can't we have that information? You expect people to give up their information every 4 years or every whatever years when the census comes around, so why can't you do the same thing for voting? I think you wouldn't have to do the census as much if you would just, okay, let me see who's voting. And then that would give you an indication as to who really is paying attention and who really cares about this process. So if you're just bringing in people illegally and giving them a home, giving them food, giving them money and cars, and just say, hey, you know who brought you here? Now you got to vote Democrat. That's easy. That's cooking the books right there. You stacking the pack right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like it makes sense if you want it to be a fair fight, And if it's not going to be a fair fight, as we say, mob rules. You didn't say I couldn't open the borders and then bring these people in and put them in hotels in different cities and make these other people that are already citizens feel uncomfortable because they don't know what's going on. And then we're going to say these are asylum seekers because this is happening in their country. You just lied to the people, so you can, keep your side in office longer. You can keep doing what you're doing, stealing money, laundering money, whatever the case may be. These are all things that have been coming out. And it's crazy. I just seen a clip where a young Democrat, asked Maxine Waters, and this is off topic, I'm sorry, but it's like, we need some new blood. We need some new people in this organization. Like, you guys have been up here for a long time. We've seen the same old things and it's not working and it's not getting better, So it's like, that's the mindset that we need to see. Go ahead. You got it.
That was it? Oh, okay. Got you. Yeah. So, man, you bring up a lot of valid points. I think that it's absurd that you would have an issue with presenting identification to vote. I think voting is something that, we fought for. I don't think that I know voting is one of the things we fought for. Voting is to be held at a certain self-esteem. I know it's kind of, corny or whatever when you get the little sticker, I voted, but that really means something. That means that you took your time out, hopefully put in some thought and because you wanted to see a change or you wanted to see things a certain way because it may be more of the same. Like the person that's in office may be the person that you want to stay there. And so for people to be upset, for that to be a requirement, that being having an ID, it's absurd to me. And it's like, even at the smallest thing, I like tennis shoes. I'm just keeping 100. I, probably have a lot more than I should have. And when you hit on one of these shoe raffles, you have to take your ID and you have to present ID to get your shoe. They have to make sure you are who you say you are, or you're not gonna get your shoes. And so if you could do that at that level to get a tennis shoe, why isn't it that at the highest level, voting, making sure that the right person is in office, that like this thing, like making sure the person that runs the country is the right person in your opinion for the job, or maybe run the country is not the good idea. Again, let's use the word advocate for you to do things in the country that you want to see done or changed or remain the same. You're telling me that shoes are more important than that? When you go to the bar with drink alcohol, they card you usually, like to make sure. If you go to a restaurant and sit down and you want to drink, if we go to the liquor store to buy alcohol, guess what? I go to Costco and I forget a lot of the times that I can't go through the other side, the self checkout. You know what I'm saying? I got to go through the main checkout because I got to show my ID. So you're telling me at that level that alcohol, the tennis shoes is more important than our rights to vote? And what do I look like going into another country and I'm not a citizen of that country and I don't know really what's going on. I don't know a lot of what the policies are. I don't know who's who, and I have the right to vote and make a decision. No, doesn't make sense to me. And why people oppose this, why the other side oppose this, is for control. Cuzzo kind of alluded to it. You guess what? There was a certain people that they had under their thumb. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna incriminate us. that one side had under the thumb. They guess what? If you're black, vote for me. You know, if you want to see a change, vote for me. And guess what? We voted for them, and nothing changed. Things remain the same. Things got worse. And then we wake up. Then we start to realize that things are getting worse. That these are not the right people for us. People are starting to wake up. There's still some people who are, the eyes are wide shut. But there's some people who are starting to wake up. And guess what? You know what? We losing them. We need to get somebody else. So guess what? We gonna reach out to these people because they're the new up and coming people and guess what? We're gonna scratch their back a little bit. We're gonna do some things under the table, you know what I'm saying? So they could make sure that we stay in power. And that's what it's about. That's what we're not seeing. That's what we need to wake up from. I get it. They look like us. You know what I'm saying? They sound good because they talk with a little slang. You know what I'm saying? They may have what's that weave called? The I don't know what it's called, whatever that thing is called. It's some type of hairstyle. But they look like us, they hair like us, they sound like us. But they're not advocating for our betterment. They try to tell us we're just gonna tax the rich, but guess what? Like that driving tax, guess who that's gonna go to? That's gonna be for everybody. And I guarantee you it's not gonna get, it's not gonna be the only one. Property tax gonna keep going up. They're gonna find ways to tax us so they could keep us. And I'll say it's like modern day slavery. Like we're giving away half our check to somebody that don't really do nothing for us. Why do we need this much maintaining of our lives? Tell me, think about it. Sit down and figure out, like, write down all the things that they do, all the things that got better, and see what you come up with. And see, did you actually do a lot of these things? And then you start to check those things off. And I guarantee you have more harm than good. Oh, did they prevent the fires from happening? Nope. Did they advocate for us when the government was closed? They were advocating for another group. No. This tax on driving, are they saying no, don't do it? No. This to lower the gas, did they advocate? Nope, they voted no. What's that? It's a Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. There's a part in there, wherefore art thou Romeo, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, let me count the ways. Let us count the ways that they dogging us. Whoever's watching out there, like, do that for me. Sit down, write out what the government has done for you to better your life, and then let me know. If you find more ways that they made your life better, then hey, come on here and let me know I was wrong. Tell me I was wrong, and I apologize to you. But I guarantee you'll find, in my opinion, I should say, you'll find more that they made it worse or didn't make a difference at all. And so if nobody's making a difference, why do you need them? Why do you need them if they're not making a difference? They try to advocate that you need them and that they're supposed to manage you. No, they exist because we fund them. They exist because we pay our money for their salaries. And if they continue to not do things correctly, we need to say something. We need to do something. And so I know I'm ranting. I get like that sometimes. But I think that's all I have on that. Let me see. Let me look.
All right, Forrest Dump. Forrest Dub. That's all you gotta say about that.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Gotcha. That was good though. That was good stuff.
So we had a couple other things. I don't know if you wanted to talk about them. We had Corey Holcomb, TMZ.
Oh yeah. Let's
We
fire
had
it up.
Turning
fire it
Point.
up.
We had Chipotle and Bad Bunny Super Bowl. Which one of those you want to talk about? We'll do one.
Let's talk about let's talk about Turning Point. Let's see what they were doing.
Oh, okay. Sheesh. I'm trying to see. Shit might be fine. Let me see. Easier to find the. I shouldn't have asked you. I should just play one.
Whatever you got fired up, Coco. I mean,
Yeah, I ain't got nothing fired up. I was.
I guess we ain't talking about nothing. Then. I guess the show's over. Party's over.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. He said the parties are turn off the lights.
Exactly.
Party's over. Who was that? That was like a WWE wrestler or something like that. I don't know. Anyway. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let's see.
Million views on YouTube with Turning Point. Turning Point USA's All-American Halftime Show hitting over 20 million views on YouTube, with Turning Point reporting between 40 and 50 million views. Tuned in across all platforms. Headliner Kid Rock joining Laura Ingraham to tout the show's success and to discuss why he chose to perform his cover of Cody Johnson's Till I Can't.
I knew they wanted to have a program that's great on, family and faith and great music. And I did it to honor him and his fans because he wasn't able to do it. So I said, well, he's going to have a lot of fans. And let's try to play one of his songs.
Since his performance, Kid Rock's cover skyrocketing to the top of the iTunes charts, topping Bad Bunny's DTMF in the original version of Till I Can't is #3. Turning Point USA's All-American Halftime Show hitting over 20 million views on YouTube, with Turning Point.
So I'll let you share it, Coco, first.
What am I sharing?
I don't know. What do you think about them? I mean, I know we kind of were having a conversation, about other stuff while the actual halftime show was going on, and we didn't actually see the Turning Point halftime show. But what do you think about them deciding to have a different halftime show during the actual Super Bowl halftime show?
I mean, I think that's their right to have a different halftime show. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so I mean that's their prerogative. Just like any other thing in America, people have their views and opinions on certain things, and maybe if they felt like they wanted to pull people's attention away from what they felt or thought wasn't the best representation of America in this current climate, based on what's going on. They got together and said, "Hey, let's do this," and that's commendable. But it has to be done in a certain form or fashion. And this again looks like this could be separating people, and not bringing them together. And understandably so, there's a reason for that. There's difference of opinions. So when people make decisions, there's going to be people that agree with it and people that disagree with it. So having this, tribute or whatever he did, I heard it was terrible, but I didn't get to watch it, so I don't know. I mean, Kid Rock has been, kind of chastised online for some of his views and what he thinks and looks like. So a lot of times people see him, and when he initially came out, what was it, 10, 15 years ago, it was something different, and now it's just become like he's just a tool, to put out a certain message. Some people may see him that way, and I just say, okay, well, you don't agree with it, okay, do your thing, but at the end of the day, to me, it should be about bringing people together and not dividing people. And entertainment is a way that you can bring people together, but if you do it in a certain fashion, it could be the reverse. So that's just my opinion on it, my take. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, but if it's not done the right way, it can backfire and not bring people together versus separating people. What you got, Cuzzo? What you over there? You eating dinner or something? You muted.
Yeah, I don't have any people here with me, so I was like trying to fix this guy's video so I could send it to him. But yeah, I was listening. So I mean, I feel you, and actually that's a different take, than I had, on it. I mean, I do think we should be bringing people together. What I do think also is that I don't think the NFL did a great job at doing that. I was actually watching another podcast, and they brought this topic up. And one of the ladies that spoke, and I don't know why I got triggered about this, because I'm kind of like on two sides of the coin, right? So but I still have my certain beliefs, and nobody could change that, but she said that she thought it was good because 13% of the people watching the Super Bowl spoke Spanish. And I'm just like, that's a dumbass explanation, for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're saying that, if I go to, say I go play, me and you go play, say we got a 2-man sport, just say we play tennis, and we go over to, we're from America, we go over to some other country, and then everything is in English. And so the fans are whatever they speak, whatever language the country speaks. That's just not gonna make sense. You know what I mean? Like commentating, all of that is just gonna be in straight English. And if they don't speak any English, then it's just dumb to me, and that's just my opinion. For a sport to be as highly anticipated, to be seen so many eyes, it's supposed to be America's sport, for the NFL to have an artist that had all Spanish speaking songs, and when she said 13%, so 87% potentially of people watching it did not understand what he was saying. You had a lot of the players that they're playing, they were asking them, "Oh, do you know any Bad Bunny songs?" "No, I don't really listen to Bad Bunny." You know what I'm saying? And guess what? I listen. I like Bad Bunny, some Bad Bunny songs. Honestly, I've listened to some of his music, and I like some of his songs. I may not understand what the hell he's saying either. You know what I'm saying? But I like some of his music. Like, you know, during the workouts, like, you know, we have a different types of people. So I used to play different types of music, and it was some of the songs, you know, they had a cool beat, you know, and you know, I would find myself singing them. But I just think it was, you know, it didn't bring, you know, to your point. I don't think that brought people together because people were divided in that sense. And plus, and I know I'm gonna sound crazy, you know, because people say, oh, in the things, you know, because the things that are happening today in today's climate, you know, like honestly, there's a divide going on. You have, you know, people on one side, you know, talking about ICE and maybe it was one of those things. Maybe it was like a, you know, a thing to show that, you know, the NFL supports, you know, people that you know, that culture, those people, you know, those people being, you know, people that are not here legally, you know, but I don't know, maybe they were supporting that fight, but I don't think that was a place that they should have did it. You know, I think that, you know, divided because some people like just didn't watch it. You know, and I said in my head, man, I said, I know, you know, probably all the Latino people probably got their phones up at the same house watching this thing so it could get these views. You know, I don't know, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. And you know, I love Latino people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I love IANs, you know, they're part of the crew. You know what I'm saying? They part of the IN crew. You know what I'm saying? So you know, we I love you. You know, but I don't know. I just think it was uh, a distraction, divisive, and I could be wrong. I think it was, you know, some type of suggestions in there that didn't need to be seen. You had the two dudes humping on each other, and you know, it was said that he might wear a dress, you know, and just all these, I don't know, man, like stuff like that. I don't rock with, you know, I don't rock with all that type of stuff, you know. And, you know, for them to do that on that national stage, you know, I just didn't think it was a good idea, you know. But for Turning Point, now we're talking about Turning Point. I didn't see it, I didn't hear any much about it. Other than like it did like 20 million views or something like that, or 20 million streams. Um, yeah, I don't really hear much about it. And this is something that, who was that did the same thing? It was somebody who along, oh, it was the Living Color. The Living Color decided to you know, air, you know, during the halftime, right? And so uh I don't think that was, I don't know. I don't know the whole history of that, honestly. I don't know, cuz do you know the history of that? Like why they actually did it?
No, I just think that they were a new show coming out,
Mhm.
and I forget the reasoning behind it. You know, so um, yeah, they that was a big moment for them because it worked.
Right.
Yeah, so today you have 20 million streaming. I mean, that don't mean nothing to me because I'm seeing, you know, online where you got like 100 phones set up and they all watching, you know, whatever. So you can definitely have streaming set up to where it can trick people into saying, oh, they had 10,000 streams. No, they didn't. It was probably one place or a stream farm. I mean, numbers lie these days because people has figured out a way to make the numbers lie.
Right.
You know, before it used to be harder to do that. Now it's becoming easier with technology and people being able to manipulate that. So now, you know, as you have those conversations, it doesn't move me because it's like, okay, I mean, that can be done many different ways. You know, that doesn't show me or tell me that there was 20 million people dedicated to just switch over and then watch this show and be locked in, you know, and then go back to the game. So all in all, I'm pretty sure they had a good number of people watching, but you know, just to know where those streams are come from, middle America, of course, you
All the
know,
stream house.
yeah. And you know, certain areas are definitely going to do that, but everywhere else probably just like I did. I was just at the table talking, you know, not paying attention, you know, because I didn't care to watch it. You know, it wasn't entertaining for me, you know, because that's not something I follow. I don't even follow his music. You'll hear his music. He has a couple of songs that you recognize. It's okay, that's cool. You know, so they picked him for whatever reason. I don't think it was for any other reason other than there was a plan for it to happen that way. Yeah.
Well, I think also, I think it was some
Yeah.
type of plan, and
Of course, it's coordinated. That we know that we've been educated enough in warfare and propaganda, you know, to know that, you know, when things are happening, these are coordinated things that are happening to put these messages and people in front of you, you know, so you can kind of see and hear what's happening, and then it to one side they are don't even know what's going on. They just think this is just, oh, you know, they love us here.
Right.
Yeah, of course we love you, but we want you to do things in a way that's done correctly, you know, and then not come in here and try to displace people that have been here and disrespect them and be bigoted towards those types of people, because I hear that a lot
what
too.
you talking about there? Let me hear you.
Yeah.
Let me hear you.
Oh yeah, we know that. We know that.
Little
We
bit.
know that. We know that people talk about the negros. You know.
Popcorn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We know. Go
Come
ahead.
on,
What you
wait, man. Let me hear you. Come on, man.
What you got? What you got?
I'm trying to see. You said, you know, I thought you was going down a certain road,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, but it's not just here. It's in their culture. It's embedded in them. You know,
Yeah.
you go to Puerto Rico, you go to Dominica, you go to Mexico. You know, anywhere you have people of Latin descent, well, it's not Latin, it's Spaniards. You know, they came from a certain area. So all these people were not here. They were brought over here originally. This is history. So they were taught the same thing we were taught about the light skin and the dark skin thing. You know, and then I heard, I think it was
That's a lot of
somebody's, yeah, a podcast. I forget her name. She used to be on the Breakfast Club, but basically she was talking to an artist from Puerto Rico, and he
Mhm.
was just I don't know if he was from Puerto Rico, but he was in Puerto Rico, maybe on vacation. But he was just saying there's a lot of racism that he experienced while he was in Puerto Rico, and this may just be his experience. It might not be everyone's experience. I don't use a broad brush to paint a picture. So I'll let people know it's like if that's his experience, then you cannot refute that because that was his experience. Yes, you
Right.
can say, hey, I'm not like that. My people are not like that, but a majority of the people are like that because this has been something that's happened on more than one occasion. So when people come to here, America and LA, and they move in and kind of take over and just move their stuff in, they feel like they're better than you.
Right.
And it doesn't go that way.
I thought
You
you
know,
were going to say about you were going to talk about those people who built this country. You know.
well, not even that. I mean, that's down. Basically, that's deeper down in the
Yeah.
foundation of it, of course. Because without those people, you wouldn't have the ability to come here and enjoy whatever you're enjoying. Free money, places to live, places to go. You can build your own towns or sell your stuff all over the place, and most of the time, you're not bothered. You know. So it's just kind of like if people really kind of understood, you know, what's the heartbeat of the system, it's people that look like me and you. Yes, everybody else fills in and does their thing and does their part, but if we were allowed to do our thing, which we've done it before many, many times, look up the history. Tulsa, Lake Lanier, you know, where Times Square is built, you know, that park over there in New York. I mean, there's been plenty of towns that, you know, people have built that were wiped out and built on top of, you know, and no one wants to talk about those things. You want to talk about the feel good stuff,
Right.
you know. So if people, you know, really just kept that truth in front and not tried to embellish on what they want to make happen and what they want to feel as or have history tell you, then there will always be truth in the forefront. And then everybody could live, you know, as they are because we're living by truth and not by fantasies, fallacies, lies, you
But
know.
I think that some people have they want to feel like they had a lot to do with the way things are, and not to say, you know, you didn't play a part in some things, but the foundations of things. Sorry,
Yeah, I mean, you
your
had a part.
huh?
Yeah, you had a part, but you didn't create what was already here before you got here. Yes,
Hey,
as you got here, you made leaps and bounds and made probably some new advancements, but the playbook was already written. You probably put new plays in the book.
and not just the playbook was made. There was a lot of barriers that were tore down because if you came along a little bit sooner, you know what I'm saying, you'll be riding the same boat with us. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? You don't look like us. You know what I'm saying? We gonna enslave you. We gonna do all this crazy stuff to you. But we got to endure, you know, the hard stuff. We went through the hard stuff. It's like and I know it's funny, but it reminds me of that the chicken, right? Chicken was on the farm. She was like, "Who's gonna help me, you know, plant the wheat?" Pig said no, dog said no, cat said no. You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna help me, you know, pick it? Everybody said no. Who's gonna help me cook it? Everybody said no. But when it's time to eat, who's gonna help me eat it? Everybody wanted to eat. You wasn't here from the beginning, from the growth, from the plant, from the growth to the picking. You got here when it was time to eat, and you feel like because you're eating that you played a major part in it. No, you didn't do the groundwork.
You played a part in eating, yeah.
Yeah, you eating right now. We eating right now.
Eating, no problem.
And so, yeah, that's funny to me when I hear it. But I mean, people are passionate about it. I'm like, okay, you know. Sometimes I don't want to get in those debates, but sometimes I think it's good to have a back and forth, or not a back and forth, but a question, because I start to ask questions to see why they feel the way that they feel. Like, why do you think that? You know, I get some interesting answers. You know,
Yeah,
and then we can go from there. You know.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, asking questions is where you get to the root of someone's thought process. You can understand, you know, if it's a talking point, if it's something that was given to them, or they're just, you know, they're just going off emotion, you
Right.
know. So,
And I find out a lot of times that it's either a talking point or they going off emotions.
right, absolutely, and that's how you defend your space and place and wherever you are. So, of course, you want to feel like you matter or you count, and which everyone does, you
Right.
know, to an extent, because we all have a place and a space to play a role, you know, and the people that came before you, you want to give homage to those people because those are your ancestors. Those people are within your DNA, you know. So if you're shunning those people or you're not giving credence to those people, then you're not giving credence to yourself.
Right. And what do you think about the people that think that we're lazy and that, you know, um actually no, I don't want to go down that route, man.
I mean, that doesn't bother me because again, as we said before, you came when it was time to eat. The meal was already hunted, you know, cleaned and cooked. So when you showed up, it was time to eat. So that doesn't bother me. Somebody says that, you know, we're lazy. Okay, well, just look at all the accomplishments. Just go down a list. Find you a book. Look it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to me, that's a scapegoat. To me, that's a deterrence to make yourself feel powerful. You know, if you have history, then learn about it. If you feel like I'm not as strong as you guys in history, well, it's okay. But what we can do now is move forward and work together to figure out how we can make life better together.
Right.
Don't try to shun me or shun where I'm at now today because my ancestors did what they needed to do to allow us to be here. You give thanks and credence to that. And I see a lot of people online understanding that point and giving thanks and credence to that because they know.
Right.
They know. They know who everybody is
So
and
it's
where
just
everybody was.
it's not an excuse that you weren't born here, you know. Like we said this whole episode, you know, like there's a lot of information out there. And if you choose to want to know it, then you'll get it. If you choose not to want to know it, then you'll just be ignorant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sound ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And man, shout out to the folks, man. I wanted to have a conversation with my boy, but I get opportunity too, you know.
Yeah,
And
man. I think
I'll just
that'd
actually,
be a good combo for sure.
yeah, for sure. Well, that brings us to the end of episode number 4, season 2 of What's Up Cuzzo podcast, man. Again, I want to say appreciate each and every one of you who like, comment, and subscribe, but don't stop now. Hey man, we need like 3,000 views on this one,
Get
4,000
it,
views. You know what I'm
get
saying?
it,
200
get
likes, 200 comments. So we grow this thing, man. We just, moving along, moving about our way, giving our own opinions. We're two regular dudes. So y'all, I mean, we got regular opinions just like everybody else does, and we would love to be able to bounce those ideas off you. We would love to ask you questions, and we would love to, share with you from our perspective. So that's what, in my opinion, that's what we do here. And that is my close, cuz it's on you.
No doubt, man. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Go ahead and hit that like button. Share and subscribe. Get in the comments and let us know what you like, what you didn't like. Let's have a discussion. Get in the comments and let us know what you want to hear us talk about next. Because this is what real communities and how they're built. When we're able to have discussions and not just have our feelings come up, but we're able to kind of break that down, the layers, and have discussions on why you feel that way and why you see things in a certain light. So, and then also, cuz I appreciate you as always for getting us, set up on the back end. I know you in a secret new location, but we got to do what I got to do. I had to do the same thing, so we make it work anywhere it goes. And shout out to LA, man. City is up. Y'all know what it
My bad,
is.
I almost did something else.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Almost did something else. Oh
Yeah,
man,
it's all good. All-Star
Yeah.
Weekend 2026. If y'all can't get out to the Shaw, go check us out. They got a new gym, man. Nike, donated to them. They got some other things going on. It's a 3-day event. And that I'm an alumni. So, I'm gonna shout it out anytime I get it. We alumni. So
I got a banner on the wall, man.
Huh?
I got a banner up there, man. 97.
No doubt, baby. No
You know
doubt.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Cuzzo was an all-star back man too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good to see, when we can do things, in this magnitude, and it keeps bringing people to a space and place that's historical. That's us. That goes back, years and years and years, and the legacies are able to be brought to the forefront and let those things shine, because so many people like put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. So being able to hear those stories, to kind of see the new things that are happening around the area and in the city, is definitely great. So when you see stuff like this happening, I tell people to show up, to support, because you want these things to continue to happen, and you don't want people to continue to move in and take over like they've been here the whole time. So keep showing up, do your part, and we're all gonna have a part. That's it.
Hey man, it's the Shaw is iconic, man, and just like we talked about it, man, we never gonna diss the people that came before us, because they paved the way and made things, great, and we played our part too. So that's why, hey man, I'm gonna pop up and see what they got going on.
No doubt.
But anyway, man, y'all have a phenomenal weekend. We got an extra day coming up. It's President's Day, so enjoy yourself. Be safe out there. We appreciate you guys. Your two favorite cousins. We out of here. Peace.
Salute.